a few years back, I realized I was done not being myself because I was nearing half a century, 49 years old, and I had been stuck in this body that was aching, and I felt like a captive. So I needed to do something about that, and I started processing it through self-portraits, and not the pretty one, not the ones where I look my best or anything. I just wanted to show the inside and the aches and the pains, and it turned into this whole thing that I hadn't planned on. Here's the first portrait. This one was I wanted my husband to take a picture of me while I was meditating, and I wanted this to be a nude portrait because I wanted to show myself, the real me. So it's not a accurate portrait because I'm just looking at the photographs and then drawing straight on, and if it turns wonky, then it turns wonky. But I really loved making this portrait because it evolved into something I wasn't into new places. I had no idea what would come from it. So here's me sitting and meditating with all the colors underneath my skin. Back then, this was the only place where I could feel a bit of calm because there was so much tension in my body and in my psyche, and I had so much pain everywhere. And then when the portrait was sort of finished, I needed more hair. Colorful hair, and I had a whole stash of old yarn and stuff, so it just felt as if this was the outer sort of my inner was sort of coming out to the outside, like my skin and my hair, everything had the same vibe. And I also had a lot of eye aches and problems and difficulties with my glasses. I still do. This is why I paint in this particular way, because I can't see properly. So I drew some really big glasses, and then I wanted an aquamarine background because it just felt right. And this painting has hung in my bedroom for a while, and now it's in my downstairs studio, and I get really happy when I look at it because this is a woman who is starting to accept everything about herself, and you get what you see. There's no decoration, nothing, just my weird thoughts spreading out all over. And then we have this one. I made the color layer first, of course, as I usually do. But when the color layer was finished, I knew this would become a portrait. It just had that particular feel to it. There was also something about the hair on this one that made me feel as if it was nice to try out maybe new hairstyles or looks or whatever. And I also, I think I captured quite well, to me at least, what I was feeling that day and the mood of the face, which is kind of, this is not me, this is me more like pensive and watching and observing, still being me, still all the colors showing, but in a different mood. And I also, I mean, I had this this need to paint myself in the nude because it's like so society puts so much pressure on us to be something that we're not. And when we are painting, at least then we have the freedom to express ourselves exactly as how we want to. So, and again, this was the underlayer. I worked on it quite a lot. The drawing was pretty much intuitive and quite quick, because I don't like to think too much when I make these paintings. Then I start to overthink and overproduce, and then they don't feel right. They don't feel authentic. They feel restrained in a way. So I like the chaos of this. I like the yellow that splatters here and there. And then we have this one. I call this one When the Light Hits Closed Eyes, because somewhere along the way during this process I was starting to get a different grasp on my body. It was still aching. My eyes aren't still working properly. I still have a hip that remembers almost dying 22 years ago, and a diaphragm that won't relax. But some days are better. And this was a day where I felt I wanted to show myself being really happy. So I drew this one. This one is has more splatter, more colors, and I like the look on this woman's face. I really like it. I mean, yes, she's been hanging on the studio wall, and look at her hair. It really spells freedom. Despite all the aches and all the pains, her tense belly and her hip and her shoulders that are aching, and her jaw that is tense, and her eyes that are aching, and her migraines and everything, she has some form of freedom. And this one is actually also a self-portrait. This one is most abstract, of course, as you can see. It's called Rooted in the Ache. This is when I started to go to this body-mind therapy, and the lovely Johanna gave me a homework to paint good things and bad things. I don't remember actually what the homework was, but what I did was I used an old painting, transformed it into this, which is sort of a tree and also sort of lungs, and there's this heart here and the gold that was important too. And then once I had traced the crown of the tree or the lungs and the roots, I started filling it in with this tiny text, and on the white side I wrote happy things that happened that day. All of these are happy thoughts and happy things. And on the black side I wrote difficult things that happened in my life. So now they're here down in the roots, and this is sort of what we all are trying to balance, the light and the dark, in order for us to become whole people. So I showed it to my body-mind therapist. I don't know what she thought about it, but to me this was also a self-portrait, but it's a different kind. And now the last one for today, because I have other self-portraits, but I don't know where they are. They might have been sold or given away or painted over. This one, I think this might be the final one of these half-century portraits, because when I was done with this one, I was finished. I could sense that there were no self-portraits in me that needed to enter the world. This one is, again, for some reason, all these colors symbolize the ache and pains of my life in my body, bruises that you can't see, the invisible pains that nobody sees. Like some days during this past 22 years, everything in my body has been aching. Everything. At times I've had difficulty walking because of the pain, and a few years I had chronic migraines, which were quite difficult to live with, especially when I had 3 kids also and a lot of other things to take care of. But so I wanted, it's more like a ritual painting where I express my aches and pain through paint, and then something releases in me and I actually feel less pain. And it works. Yep. So this one is also, I also wrote a poem that day when I finished the painting, but I don't remember where I put the poem. It's something about a summer bird. Actually, it's a butterfly, but butterfly in Danish is summer bird, but I wrote it in Swedish. It's this whole thing. And again, flowing hair, butterfly wings here. I like this neutral background where you could sort of still see the colors of the underpainting underneath it, and the black stripes with the poem on made for a really nice effect. And then I crowned myself with this glory, Saint of My Own Survival. That's the title of this one. And it's pretty accurate. And to me, these paintings have been very beneficial. It's been really, really interesting to paint them, and also to get away from the constraints that you're supposed to paint only pretty stuff and you're supposed to be only give the beautiful image of yourself. I wanted to show my real self, but in metaphor and color. So I really enjoyed painting them, and I hope you liked watching my I hope you liked watching my ramblings about my self-portraits. They're not about my self-portraits. They might not be important for anyone, or maybe they hit a nerve with someone, but these are all made from this woman when she turned 50. And something happened when I did these portraits. And I would really recommend it to everyone to try to express yourself through color and see what it does to you. Thanks for watching.